Hello everyone, it is the second to last quarter-finals game. Then we've got Kiribati versus Liechtenstein. And then we're doing the two semi-finals games. And then the final. Alright. El Salvador is going to start off this quarter-finals match. And we start now. 54. Pretty pathetic. 41, even worse. 168 for El Salvador. 87 for Benin. I'm just turning my light on. Alright, better. I'm back. El Salvador, 52. How long can we go without getting a score which is 100 or over? Not long. 104. El Salvador, 88. Benin, 146. El Salvador, 139. Alright, come on, what a perfect check-ups this entire match. Benin, 30. El Salvador, 174. Benin, 113. El Salvador, 82. Benin, 111. El Salvador, 101. Benin, 146. El Salvador, 144. Right, got it. They're winning 2-0 on this set. El Salvador, El Salvador is doing good. Benin, 174, another 174 start. El Salvador, 127. Benin, 66. El Salvador, 139. Benin, 177. El Salvador to win the first set, 130. They missed. Benin, 84. They missed. El Salvador, 50. They get it. Alright, let's check the averages. El Salvador, 112.73. Wow. And Benin, 104.58. Incredible averages. Benin, 53. Horrible starts at this set. Can El Salvador do better? Yes, they can. 144. Benin, 4. El Salvador, 90. 38 for Benin. El Salvador, 180. Benin, 86. El Salvador, 87. They missed, but they're going to have another chance. Thanks to that 180. Benin, 65. El Salvador, 36. Nice. Alright. Benin have not won a single leg this game yet. Let's see if they can keep that up. Doing really badly. Alright, Benin, 64. That's 63 more than El Salvador score. 85. That's 21 more than Benin score. 74. El Salvador, 90. Benin, 25. El Salvador, 147. Benin, 140. El Salvador, 43. Benin, 151. 135 for El Salvador. They missed. Benin, 47 to win the first leg of the game, and they do. Alright, Benin, go on. 47, horrible. El Salvador, 107, nice. Benin, 124. El Salvador, 10. Benin, 41. El Salvador, 171. Benin, 132. El Salvador, 93. 157 for Benin. They don't get it. El Salvador, 120. They get it. Alright, El Salvador, come on. 32. Oof. Benin, 30. El Salvador, 147. Benin, oof. Benin, 53. Ha, ha, ha. El Salvador, 115. Benin, it's going to get 3. I was wrong, it was 81. El Salvador, 14. Benin, 56. El Salvador, 27. Benin, 77. El Salvador, too high. Nothing. Benin, 13. El Salvador, 83. Benin, 75. El Salvador, 83. They got it. Alright, come on, Benin. You're losing 2-0 there. Before we do that 84, let's check the averages. El Salvador, 95.86 and Benin, 81.66. Not good for Benin. Alright, 84 Benin. 82 for El Salvador. 141 for Benin. Nice, better. What? 77 for El Salvador. Benin, 142. El Salvador, 95. Benin, 134. 102. El Salvador, 34. Benin, 32. 16. El Salvador, 77. Benin, 16. They get it. El Salvador, 136. Benin, 87. El Salvador, 79. Benin gets 161. Very good. El Salvador, 151. Benin, 22. El Salvador, 135. Boom. Alright. Third leg for... Also in the final, just in case you were wondering, the maximum amount of sets there can be in the final is 13. This is going to be a long game. Alright. Benin, 56. El Salvador, 70. Benin, 52. El Salvador, 46. Benin, 81. El Salvador, 83. Benin, 5. It's been really boring. 56. 73. Thank you. 119. Benin, 178. El Salvador, 127. I'm sorry, Benin. This game would have nearly been finished by now. That's how quick the games used to be. But now they're really long. El Salvador, 75. Benin, 121. El Salvador, why has there been so many 178 scores this game? Benin, 65. El Salvador, 14. Benin, 23. El Salvador, 110. Benin, 16. El Salvador, 124. Alright, it's 3-0 El Salvador at the moment. Let's check the averages. El Salvador, 94.99. And Benin, 80.6. And Benin start off this set with 147. Best start yet for this game. El Salvador, 176. Benin, 85. El Salvador, score. Benin, 47. El Salvador, 60. Benin, 97. El Salvador gets 144. Benin, 125. They missed. El Salvador needs 107. They missed. 40 for Benin. I'll give that. Alright, El Salvador, 122. Benin, 27. El Salvador, 151. Benin, 37. El Salvador, 104. Benin, 48. 124 for El Salvador. They got 108. They miscounted there. 48 plus 60 is 108. So that they're saying it should be double 6 left. It was double 8. They miscounted. Benin, 39. El Salvador, 16. 8. Benin, 162. El Salvador need 8. They get 8. I'm sorry, Benin, you're being thrashed. Alright, Benin, 143. Good score. El Salvador, 125. Good score. Benin, nothing. Very bad score. El Salvador, 21. Benin, 115. El Salvador, 7. Benin, 107. El Salvador, 103. Benin, 136. They got 136. They might win a set for once. El Salvador, 141. Benin, 48. El Salvador, 154. Benin, 120. El Salvador, 63. Benin, 67. El Salvador, 143. They missed. Benin, 123. El Salvador, 32. Alright, it's the deciding leg now. Benin, 52. El Salvador, 18. Benin, 7. El Salvador, 51. Benin, 107. El Salvador, 105. Benin, 78. El Salvador, 10. Benin, 82. El Salvador, 159. Benin, 8. 158 for El Salvador. They got it. Could this finally be the first game where one of the countries don't get a single set at all? We're going to find out this set. El Salvador, 5. Benin, 139. El Salvador, 71. Benin, 106. El Salvador, 27. Benin, 78. El Salvador, 164. Benin, 53. Bam, bam, bam. El Salvador, bam, bam, bam. Benin, 125. They missed. El Salvador, 8. Benin, 40. They got it. Benin, 152. El Salvador, 102. They're going to need 179 if they want to be on for 9s also. I don't know, I got 69. El Salvador, 161. Benin, 57. El Salvador, 166. Benin, 65. El Salvador, 72. They missed. Benin, 158. Wow. El Salvador, if you want to win 5-0, you need to win 3 legs in a row. And now I've said that, they're probably going to do it. Maybe not. 21. 53. 48. 141. 40. Benin. 73. El Salvador. 125. Benin gets 74. El Salvador, 156. 160 for Benin. They got it. Looks like it's no longer going to be 5-0 for El Salvador. 6th set. Benin starts off with 180. Best possible start and the best start I've seen this tournament. El Salvador, 83. Benin, 24. El Salvador, 15. Benin, 29. El Salvador, 133, thank you. Benin, 111. El Salvador, 20. Benin, 157. 117. El Salvador, 142. Benin, 40. They got it. Well, Benin are getting much better now. El Salvador, 77. Benin, 141. El Salvador, 52. Benin, 136. El Salvador, 166. Benin, 139. El Salvador, 110. Benin, 85. Boom. Benin might win this 5-4. You never know. Alright, go on, Benin. Oh, 85. El Salvador, 52. Benin, 32. El Salvador, 46. Benin, 10. El Salvador, 107. Benin, 175. El Salvador, 89. Benin, 85. El Salvador, 59. Benin, 114. They missed. El Salvador, 148. They got it. El Salvador, 108. Alright start. Benin, 140. Even better. El Salvador, 155. 97 for Benin. El Salvador, 21. Benin, 110. El Salvador, 28. Benin, 154. They missed. El Salvador, 122. Benin need 40. They missed. 67 for El Salvador. They missed. 20 for Benin. They got it. Now it's 40. It's going to take forever. Alright, El Salvador's average is now under 90. That's all we need to know. Benin, 71. El Salvador, 78. Benin, 125. El Salvador, 85. Benin, 5. 122 for El Salvador. Benin gets 83. El Salvador, 89. Benin, 114. El Salvador, 127. Nope. Benin, 103. Nope. 63. El Salvador need 10. They got 5. Benin, 40. They get 40. Benin are doing amazing now. El Salvador, 25. Benin, 15. El Salvador, 41. Benin, 138. El Salvador, 129. Benin, 137. El Salvador, 121. Benin, 53. El Salvador, 130. Benin, 158. They missed. El Salvador, 55. They missed. Benin, 38. They missed. El Salvador, 40. They missed. 19 for Benin. They missed. El Salvador, 20. They got it. That was amazing. Alright. Come on, El Salvador to win this. Let's get this over with. Benin, 111. El Salvador, 61. Benin, 75. El Salvador, 107. Benin, 161. El Salvador, 153. Benin, 154. They missed. El Salvador, 178. Benin, 40. They missed. El Salvador need 2. They missed 2. They can't get any 1, so that's nothing. Benin, 20. They missed. El Salvador need 2. They missed. Benin, 10. They missed. El Salvador need 2. They got it. Now they're 1 leg away from winning the match. El Salvador, 63. Benin, 156, of course. El Salvador, 117. Benin, 87. El Salvador, 70. Benin, 113. El Salvador, 157. 145 for Benin. They got it. It's a deciding leg. Wow, I never knew a deciding leg was going to happen. Of course I know it was going to happen. Alright, Benin, 29. Not good if you want to lose the match. El Salvador, 158. Good if you want to win the match. Benin, 173. Alright, getting better. El Salvador, 86. 125 for Benin. El Salvador, 119. Benin, 15. El Salvador, 138 to win the match. They missed, but they're going to have another chance. Benin, 105. 24 to win the match. They missed again. 54. Wow. Benin are going to win 5-4 and I know it. This is amazing. Right, El Salvador, 167. Benin, 147. El Salvador, 34. Benin, 92. El Salvador, 150. Benin, 174. 150. El Salvador, they missed. 88 for Benin. They missed. El Salvador, 36. They missed. Benin, 40. They missed. El Salvador, 18. They got it. The game might finally be over in a minute. Benin, 85. El Salvador, 3. Benin, 170. El Salvador, 61. Benin, 32. El Salvador, 4. Benin, 170. El Salvador, 138. Benin, 44. They get it. This game is going on forever and I know it. El Salvador, 174. Benin, 43. El Salvador, 108. Benin, 174. Again. El Salvador, 177. Benin, 88. 42 for El Salvador. Benin, 95. El Salvador, 32. Like they're one leg away from winning the match now and going through to the semi-finals. Benin. El Salvador, 110. Benin, 123. El Salvador, 143. Benin, 113. El Salvador, 47. Benin, 132. Wow, another deciding leg. Benin are going to win this game 5-4. El Salvador, 8. See what I mean? Benin, 105. El Salvador, 24. Benin, 70. El Salvador, 82. Benin, El Salvador, 71. Benin, 24. El Salvador, 112. Benin, 129. El Salvador, 48. Benin, 30. Wow, I got it. Wow. The game's tied. It's 4-4. This is the deciding set. Benin, 66. El Salvador, 168. Benin, 158. Oh! 9 data, go on. 29. 9 data, 155, come on. Thank you. 9 data. Thank you, El Salvador. 15. Finally been the 9 data this game. Benin, 46. El Salvador, 118. Benin, 169. El Salvador, 158. Benin, 4. El Salvador, 94. Benin, 34. 116 for El Salvador. Benin, 171. El Salvador, 40. They missed to tie the game again, 77. It's going to come down to a deciding leg, I know it. Alright, let's continue the game. Benin, 125. El Salvador, 37. Benin, 180. All we need to make this a perfect game now is a 170 checkout. El Salvador, 33. Benin, 63. El Salvador, 134. Benin, 133. They missed. Thank you. El Salvador. What do I want you to get? 127, please. Maybe not. 176. Benin, 16. They got it. Now Benin are one leg away from winning. They're going to win 5-4, aren't they? El Salvador, 60. Benin, 33. El Salvador, 128. Benin, 52. El Salvador, 165. Benin, 34. Just like I said, it's going to come down to a decider. Oh, nope, they missed. 108. Benin, 89. El Salvador, 40. Well, this decides who goes through to the semi-finals, and whoever played against those other two countries in the last 16 in the first round was for absolutely nothing. Benin, 160, 93, 168, 167, 47. El Salvador, 174. Benin, 126 to win the match. They missed. El Salvador, 67 to win the match. They got it. Oh, wow. I did not expect that. Wow. Alright, El Salvador, you are through to the semi-finals. Well done. El Salvador. Why do I always put El Salvador and not El Salvador? Ah! Alright. You are either playing against Kiribati or Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein. Alright. Bye.